suffer and tell people all the lessons you learned along the way, and people will respect you knowing that you've been through something which is difficult. Respect has always lied on the other side of fear. It still does right now. The reason we all watch the big boxing match and have so much respect for the men who get in there is because it's scary to do. And even if you don't cerebrally sit and think, I would be scared to fight in Madison Square Gardens in front of all these people, well then go sign up for a fight and you'll learn very quickly that you are scared, because now you've even just started training for it. You're nowhere near the event and you're nervous all the time and you don't want to do it because it's terrifying. Respect lies on the other side of fear. So people are going to respect you if you do things that they'd be scared to do themselves. And then they're going to say, well, I don't want to go through that because that sounds scary. That sounds terrible. Let me at least try and get the lessons from it. And he's gone through it, so I can learn from his experience, or I can learn from his mistake. I think as AI, we're talking about them replacing salesmen. Well, AI could replace a lot of personal brands too now. ChatGPT is pretty good. Some people are so basic and so vaporous and so thin that ChatGPT could talk the same kind of garbage they talk. Unless you have some suffering to anchor to, how can you have any kind of personal brand at all? And maybe I'm just talking from my own experience because my brand is built on pain and suffering, and maybe I'm trying to cope my way for having all the bad things happen to me that have happened to me. But if I didn't have them all, I don't know what I'd talk about.
Would people listen? Would people care?
But what would I talk about? I have a fast car? Okay, I have a fast car. But the coolest thing about me having a fast car is I grew up with absolutely nothing. The coolest thing about me having a fast car is that they tried to take it off me and threw me in a dungeon. The coolest thing about me having a fast car is when I'm gonna get back in it after they failed to seize it off me when I was on an Interpol red notice for garbage. That's the cool part of it. Without the dark, there's no light.
There's no appreciation for the light. It's interesting. It's like, kind of like, we're working on getting Dana White on the podcast, Conor McGregor on the podcast. And so many people love Conor's story because it's classic. He was a plumber in Ireland. And he came from very humble beginnings, dirt poor, was trying to figure out how to make it work. And now the story is, people champion him because they see versions of themselves in him, right? In their low situation, their low challenge. And then today, he's, obviously been the biggest thing ever. What are your thoughts on Conor McGregor?
I like Conor.
Have you ever talked to him or connected with him?
Yeah, I have to be careful who I say I know, but I've yet to meet him in person, but I like Conor. I have respect for anybody who stands up for what they believe in. And truthfully, even if you disagree with me on every single subject, if you stand up for what you believe in and you act remotely honorably, I have respect for you as a person. And it takes a lot of different types of people to keep the world functioning. I don't like snakery, and I don't like deception, and I don't like dishonesty. But I feel like Conor, I'm sure we don't agree on everything. I feel like he's an honest person. He probably says what he means and means what he says. And that's enough for me to get my base respect as a man. And he has another fight coming up soon. We'll see how that goes.
Maybe, who knows? Maybe after we'll organize a little round table, me, you, and Conor.
That would be a very interesting conversation. We'll see how that one goes.
I'll work on it.
But yeah, you're right. His affinity was with the common man because he comes from a common place, as do I. But I feel like if you're trying to build a personal brand, I think people now are looking for, I think the internet landscape is also changing because I don't think people are looking to be just entertained anymore. 3 or 4 years ago, even 5 years ago, you could be entertaining and people cared. Because life wasn't perhaps as difficult as it was. Inflation wasn't so high, whatever you want to call it. But they just watch a show and go, okay, he's being a clown, I'm entertained, fine. I think people are looking for answers now. I think people are looking for solutions. And they're only going to believe and trust in the answers you give them if you've tried and tested them, which requires suffering. I think that the internet landscape is changing. People aren't so interested in watching people just have fun anymore. People aren't so interested in watching these idiots just put on makeup anymore. Now they want a solution for their problem because their rent is due and it must be paid. Well, how do we find a person we can trust, and why can we trust him? And the easiest answer is, well, because I've been through X, Y, and Z. That's how you prove you can be trusted. How do you prove you have discipline? Run a marathon. Then you can prove you have discipline. So for all the people who listen to your newsletter who want a personal brand, okay, go do something extremely difficult and tell them about it and tell them what you learned and prove you did it, and then do something else and continue to compound all those difficult things in your life until you become a better version of yourself, which makes you more competent, which also amplifies your success, and everything works together.